The most important thing to remember is when you're shopping, a lot of people want to go to different sites, so they may Google different items. You want to make sure that when you do Google the item and you go to the website, you want to make sure it's a reputable website. Google's going to auto-populate as many things as it can, but you want to make sure that when you click on the link that it's a legitimate link. I'm usually up by the web address and the address bar to have a little lock, let you know it's encrypted. So that way, if you do use your credit card or you do make any purchases with like checks or anything else online, you will be making an encrypted purchase. Be diligent, like if it's a site you've never heard of, you can also Google and do research before you make a purchase. But generally, if you want to stick to a lot of the big box stores, a lot of the well-known retailers, it's a little bit safer than going to a site that you may not have heard of. If you feel like your information may be compromised or your card may be compromised, what you can do is you can check your statement immediately. I know a lot of things post immediately or they show a pending charge. It comes back to, I guess, just anything that just looks strange. Numbers, letters, like I said, a store from a different country. It doesn't say anything about it when you make the purchase. What I would do is you could try to contact your bank and let them know that, you may have purchased something online that may not actually be what you thought you purchased. And then the bank at that point should be able to direct you in the right place to help you to either recover your funds or they should be able to do something to assist you. Generally, if you use places like Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, you want to try to verify that the item that you're buying is actually the item that you're receiving. You actually talk to the person prior to actually making the purchase. Have them meet you. If you do decide that you want to meet someone, we do have the ability to monitor that transaction here at the sheriff's office if you come to the front of the courthouse in business hours, Monday through Friday. We're able to assist you with that. If you come after hours, you can call 919-560-0900 and let them know that you would like a deputy to assist you in a sales transaction, and they'll be able to facilitate that for you. You might want to keep in mind that as well as you expecting your packages, other people expecting your packages as well. If it's possible, I know that a lot of delivery services offer lockers, like Amazon offers lockers. A lot of packages are going to get left in places where they're visible. So as you're expecting your packages, you'll have people that are going to drive around neighborhoods expecting packages as well.
As a parent, you always want your kids to listen to you. Now, they always don't. But this one time, I really was glad they were. My sons James and Jackson were in a high-speed car crash recently, and they're only here today because they were wearing their seatbelts. And they were lucky. They might not feel that way, but they were lucky because they walked away from the accident and they're still with us. So always wear your seatbelt, even in the back seat.
Everyone's just kind of waiting to kind of cross the finish line with vaccinating the whole families.
It offers that protection, that critical protection that kids deserve so that they can live life.
We want to make sure that she is protected.
Very jealous when my brother had gotten the shot, and I just really wanted it.
The shot itself doesn't hurt that much, and you can know protected from COVID.
Kids have a spot
to take their shot.
Everyone 5 and older can get a COVID-19 vaccine. Visit myspot.nc.gov.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things can never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Wow, this is a beautiful day, right? Yeah. That's a beautiful quilt, right? But we know that it represents a lot of sadness, a lot of heartbreak. What I want to impress upon you here is I want to push a thought process. We have launched what we've called the Working Together campaign. Working together. You're going to see it all over the place. You can see it all around Durham over the next year, working together. Because I think that's the one thing that is going to be a challenge for us. As you can see, I may not be an ordinary guy. I mean, who does this? You see this quilt, right? Who does it? What kind of guy spends 20-some years working a project like this? I think you need to find out. I'd like to have you in my company. I'd like to talk to you one-on-one, two-on-one, three-on-one, small groups. Some things I talk about may not be popular and we can't address from the podium yet, but we're getting there. But it's going to take everybody to fix this problem. Every one of us. We got to embrace each other. We've got to change the conversation.
Good morning. I'm Claudia Odom Hager, Interim County Manager. It's a pleasure to be here, but what a sad day. Mr. Brody started this back in 1994 when he began needling the quilt in the following death of a Durham toddler, Shaquana Atwater, who was shot and killed.
I was so overwhelmed to find out I was having a boy. I loved him. I cherished him. I did everything for him, with him. We did a lot together. But the day that he was taken away from me, I felt there was no need for me to be here because I didn't have anybody to take care of. The only thing that gets me going through it is he did leave me 4 grandchildren. So I'm able to be here for them. His oldest is now talking about committing suicide because he wants to be with his dad. I don't know how to deal with that because I've never been in that situation before, but I'm trying. I am thankful for Mr. Brody for this blanket. I'm thankful for the coalitions and all the ones that I can reach out to in these grief counseling groups to help me get through it, because without them, I don't know how I would survive. And it's hard. These individuals that are killing our children do not know the damage that they're doing to us and their children. We all have to pull together and stop the violence. And they say stitches, get stitches. I don't believe that. If you know something, you need to say something. Because one day, I hope that you're not standing in my shoes. I pray to God that no one else has to go through what I go through on a regular basis. Thank you.
Certainly want to thank everyone for being here this morning. I had some prepared closing remarks, but I think everything that needs to be said has been said. I heard we don't want to add any more names to the quilt. We are all impacted by this gun violence. The grief that these parents and loved ones feel, we all feel. As your sheriff and the Durham County Sheriff's Office, these men and women standing with me are committed to doing our part. The quilt will be on display in the courthouse until December 17th. And Mr. Brody asked me, could he display it in the detention center? And I said, no. We need it in the people's house. We need it in the courthouse where these names, this memorial can be seen, and a reminder that enough is enough. No more names. Amen. No more names. Thank you.
We were at a friend's birthday party, just having a good night.
We hopped in the back seat of our friend's car.
I didn't know my life was about to change.
I didn't always wear my seatbelt in the back seat.
The seatbelt saved our lives.
I will always buckle up in every seat.
2 surgeries later, but I'm lucky to be alive.
I'm here today because I wore my seatbelt in the back seat.
With the potential threat of COVID-19, getting your kid vaccinated as soon as possible is really the right move to make.
Vaccinating our kids will protect them from severe disease, will prevent them from hopefully spreading it to other people who may not be able to get the vaccine.
Our whole goal is to help your child and your family be as safe and healthy as possible.
Kids have a spot
to take their shot.
Kids have a spot to take their shot.
Everyone 5 and older can get a COVID-19 vaccine. Visit myspot.nc.gov.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's got to come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
The writ of possession is at the very end. All of this starts with one, in the case of rent not being paid, the rent isn't paid. There's some communications going between the landlord and the tenant about, hey, where's my rent? And then you get this notice to vacate, and then once you don't vacate, the landlord can go and file a summary ejectment proceeding, which is another way of saying filing a court case against you saying you owe me this money, you have not paid your rent, I want you evicted out of my property. And usually that's going to be in small claims court before a magistrate.
Well, your rent notice is basically a magistrate summons with a complaint and summary ejectment attached to it. That comes from the clerk's office to the sheriff's office, and what that is basically the notification for the hearing for the landlord to start the procedure to get their property back. We'll receive those from the clerk's office. The deputies will take those and they will attempt to make contact with the defendant or defendants that's listed on the magistrate summons. If we can't make contact, we will post, as statute allows, for the court date. And once that is returned, they have been served for their court date. Once we've served it, they'll have to call the court. If they don't understand something about it, that would fall more under calling the clerk's office to find out if there's any discrepancy about the court date or if there's any problem that they may have with the court date. They would need to contact the clerk's office because we're actually just serving notice of the court date.
That's the first part where we're involved. Only thing we're doing is serving the paperwork just like any other lawsuit. Then you go before the magistrate, the landlord presents evidence, you can present evidence, or the renter can present evidence, a decision is entered. You have a right to appeal that decision to the district court. If you appeal it, there's some procedures involved with that. And then if you lose that appeal, or if you don't appeal it or contest it, what you're going to have is a judgment being entered against you. And that's when the writ of possession comes in.
Once the sheriff's office receives the writ of possession for real property, the first thing that's done is a notification will be sent out of the date of the eviction to the defendant or the defendants. Second thing we do is we're going to notify the plaintiff of the date and time that we'll be out there to facilitate the padlock. Once the deputy arrives on scene, the property will be taken from the defendant, turned over to the plaintiff. The defendant will be served the paperwork if they're there, but we're there to take custody of the property from the defendant and turn it back over to the plaintiff as the court has ordered.
Really, the legal process is the entire court case before writ of possession is requested by a landlord and delivered to the sheriff for execution. Writ of possession is basically carrying out the judgment of a court. Just like if you were sued for a motor vehicle accident or some other small claims proceeding, when the judge enters a decision, it becomes a judgment, and then you go collect on the judgment. And then once it is issued by the clerk of court, it's delivered to the sheriff for execution. The reason why the sheriff's office is involved is because when someone is moved out of their property, it's a very tense situation, and the sheriff is involved to make sure that it's a peaceful transfer of property.
As in all civil process, the sheriff's office is just enforcing the court order. The court order is that the plaintiff is to receive their property back. The deputy will go out there, the property will be taken out of the defendant's possession, placed back with the plaintiff as the court has ordered, and we're there to also make sure that that's a peaceful transition during that process.
But the law requires the sheriff to do this, and in fact, if the sheriff doesn't do it, he could be sued. So you should really take some steps right at the beginning of all of this when you first have difficulty with paying your rent. Because when it gets to the sheriff's office, it's too late. So what can you do? In several communities throughout the state of North Carolina, including Durham, there are rent assistance programs. North Carolina, along with the United Way, has developed what's called NC 211. If you pick up the phone and dial 211, you're connected to a resource hotline, and you can tell them what your problems are, whether it's paying rent, paying your mortgage, making utility payments, need of food, and they can connect you with resources in your community. Here in Durham, you have the legal clinic at North Carolina Central. You may also have law clinics over at UNC, Duke, over in Raleigh at Campbell, where you can get some free legal advice. You have Legal Aid of North Carolina, but if you go to their website, they have literature on there on what the eviction process is, what is a summary ejectment, what you should present to court. Can you get out of it? Can you pay your rent? Can you settle this? What to do if you want to get into a settlement. Here at the Sheriff's Office, we know about the process, but we can't give you legal advice. State government is well aware of the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on individuals, and so there's some relief efforts being made. And so really what I'm saying is that the solution to a lot of this is before you get to the writ of possession. There are community organizations out there that will help you with rent assistance. The General Assembly, which is our state legislature, is looking at some solutions. Our local officials may be looking at some solutions. Churches may be available. So when you get into that situation of not being able to pay your rent, making utility payments, not being able to put food on your table, oftentimes we panic, we become concerned, and that is the moment where you don't close yourself in. That's when you need to go ahead and ask for the help that may be out there. Because if you act quickly and at the beginning of the process, you won't get into the court system and you wind up staying in your home. Because by the time it gets to the sheriff's office with the writ of possession, there's not much, if anything, that can be done, and our hands are tied.
Hey, we're back. It's me, Melinda.
And me, Dakota.
Guess what? Hashtag Melancoda. And today we're here to talk to you about the weather. Well, not really the weather, but how the weather pertains to your pets. Now, we're in North Carolina, so it's likely to be 70 and sunny today and 20 and rainy tomorrow. So we want to talk about something very important when it comes to your outside pets.
Whatever the weather is, by ordinance, your pet must have access, constant access, to a shelter. And our definition of shelter means that it's going to have 3 sides, a floor, a roof, be well ventilated, size appropriate for the animal, and provide adequate protection from the elements. Melinda, can you give us some examples of what would not be considered appropriate shelter?
Sure. We've seen some great efforts at providing a shelter, but like Dakota said, we have a specific definition. Things that you cannot use for shelter for your pets are things like temporary airline crates, metal crates like you would keep your pet in indoors, under your porch, under your house, inside cars, under stoops, and anything that's in a flood-prone area or an area that's likely to be surrounded by debris. So if you have any of those things, what you need to know is, guess what? We can give you a
free doghouse. All you have to do is call our office, request a doghouse. And Melinda, what's that number?
That's 919-560-0630. That's our information line at our office. Please do not use the dispatch line for that. If you would leave your name and your information here, it will get put out so that we will have an officer visit your house and bring you a free doghouse.
That's all we have for today, folks. So give us a call if you need any help. And until next time, we're signing off.
Stay warm.
So important things to keep in mind are definitely when you start to shop, and you begin to accumulate items and you want to put them in your car, you want to make sure that you have some type of blanket or anything you can to cover your items if you have an exposed, passenger compartment in your vehicle, unless you have a trunk. You want to make sure that your valuables are tucked away so people can't see them. Most importantly, you don't want to leave your purse or wallet in the car while you're shopping in case you go, oh, I just take my car with me. That's where you start to have issues with break-ins. And if they do break in, they steal your wallet, they steal your purse, then you're going to probably end up as a victim of identity theft. I know that you're going to probably walk through the mall or walk through the shopping centers and find all kinds of stuff. You want to make purchases and buy things, but you just want to make sure that when you do offload those items that they're safe. You want to try to find a parking space that's close to the door of where you're shopping. Like if you go to the mall, you want to try to park close to an entrance. Depending on how many people are there, I know that some shopping days are a little bit more chaotic than others. As you start to get towards the opening of the Christmas shopping season or holiday shopping season, it's probably going to be harder to park close to the door. I believe that parking further away is going to make it difficult, one, to monitor your vehicle. So that way, if you want to walk outside, check and make sure that everything's still safe. If you parked on the other side of the mall or the other side of the shopping center, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult to monitor your vehicle. It's okay to take a few minutes before you leave the store to check to make sure you've got your card or however you made your payment, that you've got your bags, that everything is with you, to make sure that you've collected everything you need before you leave. Also, you want to make sure that you've got an eye on your bags. If you've got a handful of bags, be aware of who's around you. If you get to a situation where there's a lot of people around, you want to make sure you have your stuff closer to you, so you might want to hold it a little bit differently. Be more cognizant of how you're holding it, like what hands you've placed it in, just to make sure that you don't drop anything or that someone doesn't come up next to you and grab your items. If you don't feel safe, what you can do, depending on where you are shopping, if there's security personnel that are on site, you could ask for an escort to your vehicle. If you are in the position where it is dark when you leave and there's no one there, you could ask the store staff to see if they have somebody that can walk with you, or just make sure that if you do venture to your vehicle that you do pay attention to what's around you, where you're going. If you do look outside and you see something that may not be safe or potentially might harm you, you can wait inside the store.
Where's your emergency? Everyone's on their way. What happened? Your friend's not breathing. She's dead? Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
Would it surprise you to learn that millions of computers in the U.S. are infected with malware? That's a lot of computers. So, what's malware and why should you care? Malware, short for malicious software, includes viruses and spyware that get installed on your computer or mobile device without you knowing it. Criminals use malware to steal personal information and commit fraud. For example, they may use malware to steal the login information for your online accounts, or to hijack your computer and use it to send spam. An infected computer can lead to serious problems like identity theft. The good news? There's a lot you can do to protect yourself and your computer. One of the most important steps you can take: install security software from a reliable company and set it to update automatically. The bad guys constantly develop new ways to attack your computer, so your software must be up to date to work. Set your operating system and your web browser to update automatically too. If you're not sure how, use the help function and search for automatic updates. Don't buy security software in response to unexpected calls or messages, especially if they say they scanned your computer and found malware. Scammers send messages like these to trick you into buying worthless software, or worse, downloading malware. What else can you do? Use a pop-up blocker and don't click on links and pop-ups. Don't click on links or open attachments in emails unless you know what they are, even if the emails seem to be from friends or family. Download software only from websites you know and trust. Free stuff may sound appealing, but free downloads can hide malware. Make sure your web browser's security setting is high enough to detect unauthorized downloads. For example, use at least the medium security setting. Even if you take precautions, malware can find its way onto your computer. So be on the lookout for these signs. Your computer runs slowly, drains its battery quickly, displays unexpected errors or crashes. It won't shut down or restart. It serves a lot of pop-ups, takes you to web pages you didn't visit, changes your homepage, or creates new icons or toolbars without your permission. If you suspect malware, stop doing things that require passwords or personal info, such as online shopping or banking. Use a different computer, maybe one at work or at your local library, to change your passwords. Update your security software and run a system scan. Delete files it flags as malware. If you can't fix the problem on your own, get help from a professional. Your computer manufacturer or internet service provider may offer free tech support. If not, contact a company or retail store that provides tech support. Keep in mind, the most important thing you can do to prevent malware is to keep your computer software up to date. And remember, it's easy to find trusted information about computer security. Just visit onguardonline.gov, the federal government site, to help you stay safe, secure, and responsible online.
Hi, Toby Keith here. Like most of us, I love driving, but too many people die every year on America's roads. So always buckle up, slow down, drive sober, stay focused on driving.
Every day, officers enforce traffic laws to keep our families safe on the road. So drive smart.
And do your part to save lives.
A message from the National Sheriff's Association.
Durham County Sheriff's Office, where's your emergency? Okay, we'll get deputies on the way.
Order! Move!
How y'all doing this morning? Come on through.
I'm Durham County Sheriff Clarence Burkhead, and we want you to join our team. Honor, duty, service. If you have what it takes, our recruiting starts now.